Happy Monday, everybody. It is 7:30 and we are here for So What Now What TV. And I'm really excited to bring on my guest tonight. She's a very, very, very good friend of mine. And we're going to bring her on in just a second. But I just kind of want to recap what this is and why we're doing it. And, So What Now What is a moment in time where you've decided that you're no longer going to tolerate the bullshit in your life and you're going to pivot. It's a time for a reset, a refocus, and a time to just make different decisions and take some massive action in your life. Like, so what? Now what? So this is a crazy time right now. This is a so what, now what for a lot of different people. And one of the things that's really crazy is people's emotional, roller coaster that they're going through. So my intention with this program, this show, is to just bring on people that can answer that question of now what? Like, my emotions are crazy. Now what? Well, my good friend Kim is author of a book called Who's Driving Your Bus? And it's all about emotional mastery. And she and I have been friends for 17 years, we just figured out. And I'm super excited to have her with us today. So you guys, if you're watching, say hi. Kim, welcome to So What Now What TV.
Hi. Good to be here.
So Kim and I worked for Tony Robbins together a long, long time, and we continued a friendship. She's now doing her own thing, best-selling author, master mindset coach, and just one of my favorite people on the whole planet. And we have talked about this book she wrote. I feel like I have been practicing Who's Driving Your Bus for a while.
So long.
I know. I call her and I'm like, well, right now, confusion is sitting next to excitement on my bus. So Kim, I want you just to introduce yourself a little and tell us a little bit about why this is so exciting for you and how we're going to share and teach this tonight.
Oh, boy. Like Michelle said, we've been friends for a very long time. We met at Tony Robbins and Brianna. And one of the things that I think was such a big deal for both of us is that we both practice self-help for ourselves first. We didn't go because we were just like, oh, I want this to be my mission in life. No, it was like, we're a mess. We need help, right?
Yes.
Yes. The first thing we should point out to everyone.
Yes, we were hot. We're hot messes in disguise.
Yes. And for me, I couldn't take, I love the content of, and we profess we're junkies for it, right? It's not just Tony. It was Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, you name it. We were
Abraham Hicks.
Yes, Abraham Hicks. We're reading everything. We're studying everything. And we pass books around on the road. I mean, when we worked together, we were on the road. So everyone should know it's like we walked up and down hotel rooms in our pajamas to get to our rooms. And we worked out carrying water bottles in hotels, like big jugs of water, whatever it took. And that puts you in, you start to see vulnerabilities in yourself and people and your learning. So for us, this was a very real thing. How can we help ourselves first? We can't help anybody else if we can't help ourselves. And so for me, this whole theory of the bus was something that I completely developed for myself because I couldn't remember everything that everyone was telling me. 20 steps to this, 10 steps to this, do this, do this. And I'm like, okay, in the moment I need it most, it's all out the window and I'm a trainer.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things is that people read lots of books and they go to seminars and they watch webinars or they listen to podcasts and they get all this really good information, but really nobody has an idea how to actually implement it. And what I love so much about Who's Driving Your Bus is that it's a super easy thing to implement. It's like, it's like self-help for like dummies.
Really, that's why I did it, because it was for me. It was like when I started it, I wrote it all. The concept was because I can't remember this crap. I need to do something for myself to remember it. And so I'm super visual, and I just decided to kind of give it to them in a nutshell. I decided I had to figure out, I'm like an emotional basket case, up 1 minute, down the next, up 1 minute, down the next. And I had to figure out why was this happening? So the concept of thinking of your—
Show us the picture of the book. Show everyone the picture of it.
Show a picture of the book. Okay, she made me bring this on. Okay, here we go. Who's Driving Your Bus? And see this little bus? So the kid that drew this bus for me, I love him so much. He's in Indonesia. And that's my crew. Like, those are all in my head, right? And so this is how I described it to him, and this is what he came back with, and I was so in love with it. It's your emotions are a cast of characters in your head, and who's ever driving predicates your entire experience. So for me, I am incredibly certainty driven, right? I want to know Monday that who I'm eating dinner with on Friday, right? Like I was so, which she didn't even know before this, but a total confession. I knew we were doing this tonight. I coached all day and I didn't have the link for this, right? So all day I'm like, I'm not going to ask her when she's sending the link because then I sound like a lunatic. When is she sending the link? And then she sent me a text finally and said, send you the link at 7:15. I was like, oh, okay. And so at 7:15, I was right here waiting. Like, where is the link?
I think I sent it at like 7:17. So I apologize,
Exactly.
certainty girl.
It's totally, but that's my girl. That's certainty girl. She makes sure my clients are taken care of. My calendar is up to date. Everything is aligned, right? I love her, but she's horrible to be in a relationship with, right? Like, oh my God, you didn't line the things up in the pantry. Or, oh, you didn't buy 47,000 rolls of toilet paper? Why? Why don't we have enough toilet paper? Like, she's that lunatic and I have to check her. But if you start to picture your emotions this way, it's the easiest way to control them because you can then say, who's driving right now?
So right now, I think that there's a lot of people going back and forth with different drivers at any given any time of the day, like with homeschooling, and then people losing their jobs, and just there is a ton of uncertainty right now. So as I'm going through my day, and something happens, the kids are driving me nuts. I realize that impatient is driving my bus. Right, being impatient with the kids, and
Yes.
being impatient. That emotion of impatience or frustration is not going to get the outcome that I'm looking for. So I think what's really great about this method is that you can stop, and you have a method like, stop whatever it is, and you can tell it. But is frustration the emotion that is going to get me my outcome right now?
That's right. And the thing is to always have to go back to realizing that we get to choose those moments. And people will often say to me, well, I couldn't possibly do that. And I'm like, no, you could, because you've been in a situation before where you've been in a fight with your partner or someone and the phone rings and you're like, la, 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 and then they pick up the phone, hello, and you change on a dime. And then it's like you put the phone down and you go, now where were we? Oh, that's right, I was angry with you. And then you go right back into the next emotion. So you can you do it. You can choose it. It's just having that moment, and I have a little poem for it. Stop, reflect, choose, redirect. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can literally, that moment you tell yourself stop. Right? Your brain is wired when you say stop to stop, and then you're like, I have to reflect. Is this what I want? Is this who I choose to be right now? No. Okay. Well, what would a better choice be? Right? What would a better emotion be right now? So for me, and you can create these little personas too. So like for me, my hippie chick Zen girl, she's awesome. She doesn't worry about things, right? She just gets completely relaxed and she's like, okay, it's fine. I don't need to know everything, because in a moment, certainty girls never far back from the driver's seat.
She's like 1 or 2 rows back.
I think she stands behind the driver and hangs onto that belt, right? Like she's right there waiting, and she's just always ready to give her opinion. And even if I put her way in the back and say, okay, I'm not going to deal with her, she will say something because she's always got an opinion. And we have to recognize that all these emotions show up constantly and they're all chattering all the time. It's just a question of who you're listening to.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm sure that there are people that that need to hear this conversation. So tag people or share this with people so they can get on this this call with us, because it's just so valuable. I think that, and this is a question that you and I had this conversation. Like, is there an emotion like care what other people think, girl? Like,
oh my God,
because girl. Judgment girl. Okay, that's what it is.
Girl, right? Judgment is always there, right? And she's judging you, right? Because all of a sudden you're judging yourself, right? And you're saying, well, oh my God, like what are people going to think? And what if I do this? And if I don't do this? And so we spin. And when they sit together, it's the worst nightmare, because anxiety will sit with somebody like Judgment Girl, and then it becomes worse. Right? And then you get anxious about it all. And then it becomes, and forget it. Everyone has creativity. Everyone has creativity as part of who they are. And when you don't use creativity regularly, for all the people out here who are listening that are very creative or who are not people who think they're creative, but they just don't use it all the time, it's torture because you have to use it. Otherwise, it will make things up and it will make your little tiny story grow like from a little nut into this giant oak overnight. And it becomes, that's part of that stacking event with emotions, and they get all together. And before you know it, you're out of control. So it's being very pragmatic and understanding. Most of us have 3 to 5 primary ones that show up all the time. Know who they are.
Yeah. I think that we have to kind of decide at this game in the game right now that we're in, who are the 3 people, what are the 3 strength emotions that we want driving this bus right now? For me, it's resourcefulness. And for me, it's, my optimistic girl. But then there's also like, I need to make sure that realistic girl or practical or logical girl is there because, I emotionally drive my bus. Like I'm emotionally driving the bus most of the time. And I have to make sure that logic is standing by, because, and I just think it's such a great tool to have, that it's easily accessed.
So easily accessed. And the cool thing about what you just said is, so for me, it's certainty goes always nearby, always. But when I get into this creative mode, or I go pragmatic, like I get very pragmatic, like I love to do the same little things over and over and over. That feeds certainty. It also makes progress. I'm very, like, that piece of me is just very steady. And one of the things that I recognize is, for most humans, that's the way that's why we all do the same things we do all the time. Like we get up the same way, we shower in the same pattern, we brush our teeth the same way, we eat the same breakfast. We have lots of parts of us that are very driven around that. So when you start to look at yourself and you start to recognize these different drivers and what you get from them, you can start to check in. Well, right now, this is giving me this, but if I thought about this situation with this driver, what would I have happening in this moment? So you can actually ask yourself different opinions on it through different emotional eyes. And if I was creative right now, how would I be showing up? If I was peaceful right now, how would I be showing up? Because that's a really important thing, especially like with the kids, right? The kids are so, they don't even understand what's going on right now.
They don't.
Hey, this is just awesome. We don't have to go to school. We get to stay here and we're getting to play. And, they're just having a good time. It's us that are worried about, well, are they getting a good enough education? Are they getting this? Am I doing it the right way? And all those fears and anxiety and judgment and all those characters on our bus come to the front. And the reality is, you have to say to them, nope, sorry, in the back, because we're doing the best we can right now. And it's going to be peaceful. And you know what? Nobody ever failed from, screwing up 3 months of 3rd grade. Like, nobody ever failed from this.
Right. Well, and I think also, you and I know what certainty means. I think I like to tell people, I think certainty is the worrier. The worrier.
For me, it's, and here, that's so great that you said that, because everyone, while we can all agree on certain things in the world, like I could say to you, hey, Michelle, what do you think of this background? Is this white or gray? And you'd say, well, it's kind of whitish, right? And I'd say,
it's all of the above.
It's kind of gray, right? But that's what happens with words as well as emotions. So for me, certainty is not the worrier. She's more of the one that has to have everything rolled out. It's not even so much control as much as it's that pragmatic piece, right? So she knows everything. Like she gets really excited at making the pantry all lined up, right? Like I can see all my stuff, right? Like, oh, this is so awesome. So she's not worried. She's enjoying it. She vacuums her way out of the room to know every square of it is
okay. Yeah.
Right? But that's my definition. So everyone has their own definitions of their own emotions, right? Because we while we generally can agree on words, 99.9% of the world's problems are because of communication, because we all have different definitions of things. Just like if I said to you, hey, I'm coming for dinner, make me something healthy. And I showed up and you gave me a shake and I was like, really? And you said, well, make me something healthy. That's healthy. And I'd be like, yeah, but I was thinking like more of you do this. And you're like, but no, this is healthy to me, because we weren't clear.
Right.
And that
Well, and
happened.
I think, meaning is such a, like, what the meaning that you assign to what's happening right now is going to bring up the emotions. Like certainty means something different to me versus something like I have urgency, girl. Like if
Right.
everyone around me is not acting with urgency, like it needs to be done. It needs to be done right now, not in 5 minutes, not tomorrow, not
Right.
after you, like right now.
That's
How
right.
about now?
Right.
How about now?
Exactly.
And that girl, she gets a lot of shit done. Like
Right. She
urgency,
also
girl.
drives people crazy.
It's not. Yeah.
Right.
She can drive other people crazy, but other people appreciate their life situation because of urgency, girl.
Yes, that's the same thing with certainty girl for me.
Yeah.
Like she's
Yeah.
just on. Well, Mark likes to refer to her. My husband will refer to her as relentless. She's just relentless. She just doesn't give up. Like she just will say the same thing. He's like, you can ask the same question 15 different ways. No matter how many times I answer it, you'll come back with it in a different way because I want certainty that it's going to get taken care of.
Right.
So, that's one of the things, like in the back of this book that I do, I actually list out pages and pages and pages of emotions. So people can go back, and everyone that has talked to me about this has said, oh my God, I didn't even realize there were so many emotions available to me. Like once I started seeing them, I got the nuance, right? Because you can start to go and back and highlight the ones that you think are the ones you primarily spend time in, because we all do it, right? And for me, like one of the ones that I know is a big deal for me is creativity. Like when she shows up, if I don't do something with her, it is going to be a shit show quickly, because I will have to burn that energy somewhere. Will be poured into something to worry about, or it will be poured into making the story bigger or making something a big deal. So it's utilized.
So what about in relationships? Like what are the primary emotions, like the drivers that are going to bring out the best in a relationship?
It's funny you should say this. So I have a client today. We've been working on this for 1.5 years. And she said to me, I don't know what happened, but everything clicked all of a sudden, because we talked about how she was in a relationship and she was not happy, but not unhappy. It was like very copacetic, right? Everything was, and she said, all of a sudden, I just love my husband. All of a sudden, I just love my kids. I'm just being so grateful for them. And we've been practicing gratitude, 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 gratitude. And for me, that is the emotion that fixes everything. If I focus on the fact that there's a dish in the sink, right? Like I go downstairs and certainty girl likes the sink perfect because the Martha Stewart police might show up at any moment and have to have the house perfect. Right? So
bring it down a notch, certainty girl. She's not coming.
But that's
She's locked down in her house. She's not coming to yours.
I know, but that's me. I might like, well, what if somebody came? No one can come. Why does it matter? But I have to, my husband jokes that when he gets out of bed to go to the bathroom and I make the bed and he comes back, he's like, what the hell happened? What's the bed? But it's true. So we had this defining moment where I had my epiphany over the bowl. Like he would have a bowl of cereal and he would sit it in the sink because he wasn't ready to put it in the dishwasher, but he would sit it in the sink. And I would be like, why can't you put it in the dishwasher? It's 6 inches. It's 6 inches that way.
I have that thought quite a bit.
So I would freak out. And then, and this goes back before I wrote the book, before I had this concept and all of this, but I had this epiphany. He was traveling. In fact, he was traveling for Tony, and the bowl was not in the sink. And I was like, yes, the sink is clean all day. So I was good for a day, for 2 days, 3 days. And then I was like, wow, I really miss him now. And I was standing at the sink and I went, no bowl. And I went, oh, wow, I miss him. And so I related that when the bowl was present, he was present, and I could feel grateful for his presence. Instead of the bowl representing him annoying me and not paying attention to my rules, it now meant that he was present in my life and that would not always be the case. So I stopped myself with that. And I do that with my son all the time. His clothes coming off. I don't know how he does it. He sheds like a skin, like a snake, and his underwear is still attached to his pants and his shirt, and everything is like all one. I don't know how he does it. But now I look at that and I go, wow, instead of being irritated, I have to take it all apart. I'm grateful for the fact that I have these little clothes in a ball. And so as I'm pulling stuff out, I constantly tell myself, I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for this. I'm so grateful for this. So that emotion, when Grateful Girl is driving, she is my go-to, because I can be grateful. The joke among my clients is she can be grateful for a paperclip. And it's true. It's really an ingenious invention when you focus on it. But if you take that piece and start being grateful for the small things, it's easy to get into a great state, and everything comes to you in a better frame of mind when you're grateful.
Yeah, I think one of the things I was thinking about is, so Asher's 5 and he's into Legos right now.
Oh,
and I don't know how you feel about stepping on Legos.
I don't like it.
So now I'm going to have to like exercise. Yeah, if Asher was not here and not in my life, then I wouldn't have these Legos to step
Well,
on.
I do have a solution for that, because I have to tell you what's funny about this. So anyone listening to little kids, I didn't think of this. This was my husband. I was freaking out about Legos all over the carpet because you can't see them. So he went into my linen closet, pulled out a giant king size white sheet, put all the Legos on it, and said, from now on, you play with all the Legos in the white sheet. When we're done, we fold in the corners and put it in a bin, and you're done.
Yeah, see, this is what happens is it's not like he builds some Legos. It's that he has these little Lego guys, and they travel around the house, and then he wants to take them apart and put them back together. So maybe when he gets older and he's actually sitting down and doing Legos, that is a great idea. I will take that. But yeah, this is one of those things where
I know those go through my laundry all the time.
I mean, I only have my kids half the time, and my perception of that, the meaning I give that is that, I have some time to myself and I have time to be with Jason. It just can be the two of us. And, but I walk in my daughter's room this morning and, she made her bed and she cleaned her room before she left. And it was just, I missed that her bed wasn't made. Like when it's not made, that means she's here.
Right.
Like, so, I everything is perception.
It's all about perception. And when you attach a meaning to something, like, often people will say, well, is the emotion, and even in the way I wrote the book, like the first half of it is like explaining a lot of this. And then the second half of it is a story of Liz and Lily, right? Which, full disclosure, we're both Liz and Lily. That's why it's written the way it's written. And it's meant to be read in 2 hours so that you don't have to spend, eons trying to figure out how to do this. It's a quick read. But perception is all of it. It's everything. It's and trying to decide, well, did I have the emotion first or the thought first? It's really irrelevant. And science has debated this for a long time. It doesn't matter. What matters is that that's the emotion you're in, and that's where you stay, and that's the problem. Once you get in that emotion, you're stuck there, and you have to figure out how you're going to get out of it. And it is an absolute choice. And when people think they can't make the choice, I will remind them, you go back to somebody like Elie Wiesel, who was in a concentration camp in Auschwitz, right? He had to make a choice of how he was going to control his mind. Same thing with Nelson Mandela. Same thing with Mother Teresa every day out there on the streets of Calcutta, right? She had to make a choice of how she was going to see those people. Were they going to be like throwaway people, or was she going to see the love in them? The Dalai Lama. It's always about a choice. And we're no different than they are. They're just making better choices. That's all it comes down to, is better choices.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole thing with the so what now what stuff is like, so what? This is the situation you're in. What matters is what you do next.
Exactly.
It's not how you got here. People spend a lot of time on, well, how did I get here? Well, you can understand and learn some patterns and kind of figure out, the mistakes you've made. But if all you're doing is focusing on how the past and how you got to this moment, you're missing like the transformation happens in the what are you going to do now moment.
Right. And it's such an important piece, because everything in the past you cannot control. I mean, I say this till I'm blue in the face to my clients, but great. It's information. All it is information. But it does not dictate the present moment, and it does not dictate the future moments. All it is the past. And do you want to live in the past? No, I don't want to live in the past. So it's information. It's a resource like, there's a light switch right there, or a light socket. I could stick my finger in it. I get shocked. That's information. Don't do it again. Great. But you know what? That doesn't dictate my present moment. I'm not going to go over and stick my finger in it. Great. You have to recognize that you have choices always. And those choices are always internal. about what your perception is around it. And right now, I mean, my big statement is you can't worry enough to change this. So when you're sitting home and you're just worrying, the only thing you're managing to do is screw up your biochemistry. That's all you're doing, because the one thing you need right now is a healthy immune system. And it's the one thing that you're destroying with all the cortisol of worry. So your worrying is actually like, you might as well just walk out and be like, okay, plague, come to me.
Right.
You're not helping yourself.
Well, yeah, and even with like, I know that there's hard things that are happening, and I always want to say to people, like, so what doesn't mean it doesn't matter, or that those things weren't happening, or it doesn't suck. Like, so what does not negate what happened to you in your life that was negative. It just means that you're willing to shift and make a pivot towards what you want to create now, because you're willing to take control. Yes, kids are not learning the way that they would be learning in school right now, but nobody's kids are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to worry about what the Joneses are doing right now, because the Joneses are doing the same damn thing you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, they're going to take care of all of these kids. Nobody's going to be left behind. Even like, there's kids that don't even have access to the internet or don't have cable. They're going to have to take care of those kids. It's like, worry girl, go to the back. You got to be fun girl, creative girl, dance party girl,
mm-hmm.
like,
absolutely.
Self-care, take a moment, take a time out for yourself. Like when Asher gets all crazy, I tell him, Mommy's going to go take a time out until you're done. And I leave the room.
It's a perfect way to do it, because they can't manage themselves. They can't always manage themselves. And it's okay. I mean, they're learning from us. And the best thing that you can remember right now is that you don't have to be everything all the time. You shouldn't be everything all the time. You have moments where it's like, okay, I just need a break. I need to walk away. It's okay. You're not supposed to be. There is no perfection. There is no perfection in any of this. Not one.
This is also a really cool thing to teach the kids. Like, I'm sure Lucas knows who's driving his bus at any given time. Lucas is Kim's son.
Yes, he does. And he actually
also knows who's driving Kim's bus, probably.
He does. Well, he said to me today when I was wiping down the FedEx package I was telling you about when he touched it, right? And I was like, you touched it, blah, 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 I don't know where it came from. And I was freaking out. He looked at me, he goes, Mom, I think your driver has gotten way out of control right now. And I was like, I know, I'm sorry, but I need to put alcohol on your head. And I took rubbing alcohol and I like wiped his hair, because he had the package on the side of his head, and he's like,
oh my God,
all day. And I was like, I can't help it. I'm sorry. I don't know what's real and what's not. So I have to just assume I'm going to do this. Right. Because what else am I going to do? So to me, they're learning, they're seeing us, but that's not just now, that's all the time. That's all the time. So we always have to do a good job with this, and to the best of our abilities. And when I say a good job, I don't mean you have to be perfect with it. If you make a mistake, you say you're sorry. I tell him I'm sorry all the time. I have no problem telling him I'm sorry. Hey, I made a mistake with that. I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have acted that way, or I should have been more patient. Because if we don't, how are they ever going to learn to accept responsibility?
Well, and they'll say I'm sorry too.
Yes, they do. They learn it, and they know we're better parents for it. We're better parents for doing it.
All right, so Kim, remind everyone what your poem is and how to do that.
So it is called, in the process of this, it's stop, reflect, choose, redirect. And basically, it's when you're in an emotion and you're not sure if this is the quote unquote right emotion, it's stop. Anytime you feel, just stop, because that's a trigger to pull yourself back. When you reflect, you're figuring out, what emotion am I currently in, right? Because it's always figuring out where you are. Is this resourceful or unresourceful? And you've heard this a million times too, but when emotions go up, intelligence goes down. And that works for the positive and the negative, because we all know we've been in some very positive emotions and love and made some pretty poor choices at those points in time, right?
Say that again. When emotion is high, intelligence is low.
Right. When emotions go up, intelligence goes down. And that works for anger as much as it does for love. So you have to remember those things, because it's like we've all been that person that's like, I'm sure he loves me. And then we've made bad choices, right?
Yeah. So never done that.
Never done that. Not.
I mean, that's how so what now what was born.
but you get the point, right?
Yeah.
So after you reflect, then you choose what emotion would be better right now. What emotion would help me more right now? What is a more resourceful way to present this? Then you go into that, and then it's you just actually redirect yourself. You say, okay, this is the emotion now. Now, here's the thing about this, and I want everybody who's listening to get it. You have to do this 500 times a day. Sometimes you have to do it 50 times in a minute, right? Because it will keep going. But once you start to switch over, like for me, it's gratitude, right? And I will stay in that state of gratitude over and over and over and over. And now I don't have to shift to that so much, right?
Mhm.
I just have to, it does happen. But like today for 13 hours, I've been coaching since 7 this morning. So I was in coaching mode all day long. So I wasn't flipping back and forth. But she peeked in. Certainty Girl got in a few times when you didn't send me my little link in time, right? I could see certain little things happening.
You see Craig said hi.
Hey, Craig. And I had to switch back, but for the most of that day, I was in coaching mode. And as soon as I got out, I was in gratitude mode because my husband made me a beautiful dinner. And then I think and he cleaned up the whole kitchen, and he made like a great dinner, and like, the whole thing. And so I can easily stay in those states. I'm grateful. And I'll walk around, and I kid you not, I'm grateful for comfortable sneakers. I'm grateful I had a sweatshirt. I'm grateful I've got a water bottle. I will find hair ties. I'm grateful for hair ties. I can find anything to say I'm grateful for it because I truly am. Because there are some people that don't have hair ties, and there are some people that don't have shoes, and there are some people that don't have internet or friends like you, so I can be grateful for anything.
Yeah. It's such an awesome thing. So can you tell everyone how to get your book?
It's on
And
Amazon.
what you're doing,
On Amazon. So basically what we decided to do, my husband and I talked about it, and right now, because we know everybody's having their own challenging personal situations, we just took it down on our digital copy of it on the Kindle version. We took it down to $1.99, which is the lowest price that they'll let us charge on Amazon because of how our account is set up with them. We get certain options for how it's set up, but we have now cut it to $1.99, and you can get it instantaneously for that price. And we hope that we can help as many people as possible with that. There's still a print version that you can get, and it's just on Amazon. If you go under and put in Who's Driving Your Bus, Kim Johnson, you'll find it, and you can instantaneously start tonight. In 2 hours, you'll have a whole different frame of mind.
That's so awesome. That is awesome.
I mean, I just love the fact that I got to do this with you tonight. It's so special because of how I feel about you. And we've spent a lot of time in our lives together helping each other through lots of situations. So to be able to do this with her and you, I just thank you.
You're welcome. You guys, I think it's, we don't need to go on and on and on. If you want some more information, direct message me. If you want to read the book. Oh my gosh, so great. This So What Now What TV is an answer for you guys to have answers to what is it to do now. And so this is why I'm doing this. We're all human having a human experience. So be easy on yourselves, be gentle with yourselves. And at any given time, you can always ask, so what, now what? Love you guys.
Have a great one, guys.
Stay on, Kimmy.